All right, my friends, welcome back to the broadcast. This is Lisa Haven's channel, Restricted Republic. Can't thank you enough for being here today. Some sombering news. An update for you. Hope you watched a video where we covered the United States of America versus Robert Hunter Biden, the defendant, 56 pages, all about tax evasion. Page 56, of course, filed by Special Counsel David Weiss. A portion of the story from sex clubs to strippers. Here are the five most salacious details from Hunter Biden. We'll go through that quickly, but it all leads to, but it was this message delivered by Trump that we're going to end this broadcast with. And the repercussions, the meaning, and the message, critical for every American to understand right now. Now, before we go any further, huge favor, time out for a moment. I need y'all to do me a favor and look at your subscribe button and make sure you're still subscribed. We get more messages now than ever about people who have been unsubscribed, no longer getting Lisa's notifications. You're no longer aware, and we see it all the time. Didn't know you were still on. And then they go check their subscribe button, and they have been unsubscribed. And the bell has to be checked to all. It's the only way you're alerted to all her upcoming broadcasts. If you'll do the same on my channel, can't tell you how much I would appreciate it. She'll put a link above, but please check both of those. And if you think you're subscribed to either one of us, you might want to double check because that changes daily. It's just one way to assure, well, I guess our updates don't make it to you. Another quick favor, if you haven't been to Lisa Haven Gold yet, what are you waiting for? Amazing sponsor. Geopolitical tensions are escalating. Inflation is raging, despite what everyone wants to tell you. Stocks are sinking, debt is rising, and your own financial future isn't looking too clever. Yet gold endures every crisis. It always does. Wars, disasters, no calamity has ever beaten gold. While paper assets crash and burn, gold endures every time. This is Lisa Haven Gold.com. You need to take a fresh look at gold steadying your portfolio. So right now, you can get this 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin free when you open an IRA with Noble Gold Investments today. Just another way, a free gift to better secure your financial future. That is all from LisaHavenGold.com. That is Noble Gold. Make sure you get there right now. So as we started earlier, United States of America, plaintiff versus Robert Hunter Biden, and the update. Major update, actually. Hunter Biden faces 17 years in prison. We covered this earlier, but the update is what we don't find within the filing. Again, I want to thank Jonathan Turley for this amazing job he did. So what are we looking at here? Instead of paying his taxes between 2016 and 2019, as I read to you earlier this week, rather, because he wanted to evade his taxes, and that word evade becomes very critical here in a moment. You can see the multiple things I read to you before. 1.64 million in ATM withdrawals, 385,000, let's call it, for payments to various women, clothing, accessories, tuition, health, beauty, miscellaneous retail products, food, grocery and restaurants, adult entertainment, drug and rehab, and everything else that, well, he said he didn't pay taxes on. And David Weiss is taking issue with them. Now, you always got to look for the linchpin in the argument, right? Because there's always within these filings, someone's getting off. Someone is getting out of trouble. 99.9% of the time. Of course, unless it's you and me, then we'll be in trouble. The defendant engaged in a 4-year scheme to not pay at least $1.4 million in self-assessed federal taxes he owed for tax years 2016 and 2019. Well, isn't that convenient? It appears the statute of limitations ran out on more critical cases. Everything's a matter of timing. Watch the bouncing ball in these games. But the main word here is to evade the assessment of taxes for tax year 2018 when he filed false returns in or about February of 2020. So what was missing from this filing? If you look at my search bar, you can't see all of it. I typed in the word Joe or Joseph. There's no Joe anywhere in this filing. December 7th, 2023. So, looks like one person gets put on the hook and one person gets taken off the hook. Search for Joseph, nothing exists. His phrase, not found. Hunter Biden is finally going to face hard questions from those who won't ask nicely as he's supposed to sit in front of a congressional panel. See how long that goes until he'll continue to evade that congressional panel. It appears nothing has any teeth anymore now, does it? A lot of people believing that Hunter Biden will skate, but that wasn't the goal, was it? No, the goal was to allow Joe Biden to skate. And so Jonathan Turley dives in, he who must not be named. The Hunter Biden indictment in itself is a model of evasion. He put this on the New York Post. I can actually bring up the original article for you, but I like to stay here. I just like the way he formats things. There are 3 glaring omissions in the indictment that tend to shield critical payments and conduct that implicate the president. One president gets off and one makes an absolutely eerie statement here in just a moment. Don't worry, it all ties together, actually. Ties together rather nicely. So the first one, the Burisma Ukrainian money. First, the special counsel only indicts tax evasions that occurred in recent years. That's because the long investigation, some would say dragged out investigation, allows Hunter to inexplicably get out of anything that happened prior to what was filed in this filing. That's because the long investigation into Hunter, some would say the dragged out investigation, which it was, inexplicably allowed the statute of limitations to expire on the most controversial payments that started around 2014 from Ukraine gas company Burisma. And we also know that those investigators were stonewalled, as they claimed. And the Justice Department was previously moving to reject any charges against Hunter Biden, but because of the whistleblower testimony, they now had to do something. And they knew that the worst charges, well, those expired. So no better time than the present. Exploring those earlier Ukrainian payments opens up questions about Hunter's influence peddling and would have highlighted the conflict in his father's extraordinary move. His father's extraordinary move to force the Ukrainians to fire a prosecutor investigating Burisma by holding back $1 billion in aid for the country. But that expired. We don't have to talk about it anymore now. Why did they file against Hunter Biden now? There is still no explanation why Special Counsel David Weiss would allow the statute of limitations. There is absolutely an explanation. There is no reasonable explanation as to why they would have let the statute of limitations run out. But this recent indictment keeps the focus squarely on taxes not paid, not how the money was earned. And there you have it. That starts to get Joe Biden off the hook. Point 2, Hunter, the foreign agent. Also missing in the indictment is any charge against Hunter Biden as an unregistered foreign agent. Recently, the Justice Department added a charge to the indictment of Senator Bob Menendez that ran afoul of FARA, the Foreign Agent Registration Act. FARA also was used to go after the Donald Trump associates, such as Paul Manafort, but here, well, the same rules don't seem to apply again. The problem with charging Hunter with FARA is obvious. Here's why they didn't charge him. It opens up questions about the millions of dollars going to the Biden family from foreign sources, a topic that Attorney General Merrick Garland has spent years avoiding to allow Joe Biden to get off of all these charges, to be involved with any of this. In the second indictment, Weiss spends more time detailing the salacious use of his money rather than how and why it was given to the Bidens. Why it was given to him. He just matter-of-factly describes millions flowing through these accounts from China, Romania, Ukraine, Russia, and other countries. But hey, I'd rather talk about why he used it, how he used it. It is so inappropriate. He owed us tax dollars. And look what this man was out there spending it on. Not in how this money ended up in Hunter's account. And the unindicted co-conspirator, there's the biggest statement of the day. By focusing on tax evasion alone, Weiss avoids any Direct avoids any direct reference to the focus of the influence peddling used to raise these millions of dollars. How did Hunter earn it? What did he promise? What was he peddling to get all this money that he had to pay taxes on in the first place? He doesn't have the skills or qualifications to earn it himself, is what most are saying. Not disagreeing. Even without mentioning the president, the implications of the indictment are devastating for the narrative and denials of Joe Biden, so they just pushed it under the rug. The president has continued to maintain, and we have all covered, that he did not have any knowledge of these interactions. However, now it is glaring that these statements are clearly and knowingly false. The president also maintained that his son had never done anything wrong and never accepted money from China. Well, the Justice Department themselves have now declared that to be factually inaccurate also. Yet Weiss continues to avoid any need to address the person who was the selling point of the influence peddling. Wow. In other words, Weiss made sure that there could be no discussion on what Hunter had to sell in order to earn the money he did. And we all know what that product is. He had to sell the brand. It was the same person who repeatedly called in to dinners and meetings, repeatedly attended events, and held meetings and photo shoots for these clients. We've seen those photos time and time again. Instead, Weiss indicts the failure to pay taxes on the proceeds of these dealings without addressing the underlying corruption that could have provided these payments. And hence, the big guy skates away. Hope that makes the indictment make a whole lot more sense, because there's one person in this entire scenario that now will pay no penalty, because Joe gets off on this indictment. Man, almost hard to believe, huh? I know. What's the picture up there? Justice Al Wilson, the snake? You said you were going to talk about Trump. What's taking so long, man? It's called news. We got to build the plot first. We got to give you the background so all these things make sense. People just want punchlines. They don't want narrative. They don't want information. They don't want reference and research facts as to why these statements are so true. And how does it all relate to this picture right here? Trump took the stage in New York. He's given the message in multiple forms in multiple ways, but he's doing it on purpose to make sure it finally resonates with the American people. And he's used a poem to do so. I'm going to let him finish, or at least say for himself, the most important line in this poem. He's talking about what's happening in the world around him, in his orbit, in your orbit, in our country, the great republic of the United States of America. Those who say the great democracy of the United States of America know not what they say. So he reaches down and begins to read a poem. On her way to work one morning, down the path alongside the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Oh, well, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, oh tender woman, yes, come on in. Take me in for heaven's sakes. Yes, come on in. Take me in, tender woman, sighed the snake. Now she wrapped him in, all cozy, in a coverture of silk, and laid him by the fireside with some honey and some milk. Now she hurried home from work that night as soon as she arrived. Now she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, O tender woman, yes, come on in. Take me in for heaven's sakes, yes, come on in. Take me in, tender woman, sighed the snake. Now she clutched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you might have died.
She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying, "Thank you, ma'am," the snake gave her a vicious bite.
Take me in, O tender woman. Yes, come on in. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Yes, come on in. Take me in, tender woman, sighed the snake.
"Saved you," cried the woman. "And you've bitten me, but why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Shut up, silly woman."
Before I finish reading, I've heard him read this poem many times. I've never heard that level of anger in his voice before. I don't blame him with everything that's gone on. "Shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "Now you knew darn well I was a snake before you brought me in." Why does he continue to read that poem? He believes it is symbolic of what has occurred in our U.S. government. He knows and has claimed from the day he started that they're not after him, they're after all of us. And we allowed them in. Every time he reads this poem now, it becomes more impactful, doesn't it? If you haven't heard it, pay attention, because he'll read it again. And it's imperative you know the framework and why he continues to recite this very important poem, most important line. "And you know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm gonna die." Our great republic of the United States of America is dying unless we fundamentally elect the proper officials to actually help govern, not rule, to help govern this great republic of the United States of America. God bless America, and God bless every one of you. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless Justice Knight. Signing out.